Thanks for choosing us. Well, this afternoon, a team of maritime inspectors and officers from the Ghana Navy has been deployed to assist the police and other authorities in investigating the tragic boat accident at Kete Krachi, which has claimed 15 lives, including 11 children. According to the Ghana Maritime Authority, the boat was overloaded and capsized while crossing a section of the Volta Lake. The victims include children aged between 2 and 14 years, along with 4 adults. 4 others survived the incident, while 1 person remains missing. The Deputy Director of the Ghana Maritime Authority, Masawood Mubarak, outlined the scope of the ongoing investigation and called for a review of existing laws to give the authorities stronger enforcement powers and the ability to sanction those who breach safety regulations.
We are drawing from people from the Maritime Police. I mean, already there's a Navy detachment that is at Kete Krachi that is quite close. They already have been deployed, and officials from the Ghana Maritime Authority. So at this stage, we don't have the full complement of the team that we require to be able to begin entirely the investigations. But this is what we are learning now. It will interest you to also note that we are a bit handicapped when it comes to the legal backing that we require to be able to make enforcement of some of these provisions. For instance, we are still working on an act of parliament that really would have in it all the regulations for us to really have the power to be able to enforce some of these measures. So as it stands, the only thing really we have a hand on that we can utilize in terms of regulation and law is a provision within the Ghana Shipping Act that talks about load line marking. And I heard the DC talk about it. So the Ghana Maritime Authority officials who are there occasionally would go and inspect boats and mark and indicate the safety limits of loading on the boat so that these operators do not load the boats beyond these limits. But unfortunately, sometimes there's that tendency of people feeling that, oh, we can get away with it this time, and they flout it. So,
well, the OT Regional Director of the National Disaster Management Organization, Foster Dre, revealed that the boat was being operated by an 11-year-old. He highlighted the major challenge of enforcing safety standards, particularly the consistent use of life jackets, which are often unavailable.
To the commercial boats, we normally organization and NADMO normally give a life jacket to commercial boats, and the boat that they are using is a private, a boat that they use for fishing. It's not all that big, so you can see that the people who are on board are kids. So only 3 adults who are part. One is 68 years, 48, and 36. The rest are 12, 2 years, 4 years, and 11 years. Even the guy who is even handling the boat is 11 years, madam.
Right. Also joining us is the Krachi DC. We're grateful for your time, sir.
Well, the Municipal Chief Executive for Krachi West, Prosper Addo, has also been sharing additional details about the tragedy on JoyNews.
As far as I am concerned, all the bodies have been retrieved.
Okay, and this retrieval still amounts to 15, or does it increase the number of persons?
No, the actual people on board the boat were 24. And now 24 have 8 that 5. Yeah, I'm currently in France, so that's why it's
Okay.
Well, let's bring in the OT Regional Director of NADMO, Dre Kobna Foster. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. You revealed that preliminary investigations indicate that the boat was being operated by an 11-year-old. What more can you tell us about the owner of the canoe and any arrests made so far? We're just trying to get clear connection to the OT Regional Director of NADMO, Kete Krachi, just to get updates on this case. If you just tuned in, we told you earlier that a team of inspectors and officers from the Ghana Navy have been deployed to assist the police and other authorities in investigating the tragic incident. We also have been hearing from NADMO and key individuals that tell us that, in fact, this boat was being steered by an 11-year-old. We're just trying to reconnect our lines right now and speak to the OT Regional Director of NADMO, Kete Krachi. I'm told I have clearer connection to him now. Tell us about the initial information you have. You tell us that preliminary investigations indicate that the boat was operated by an 11-year-old. What more do we know about the owner of the canoe?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
viewers. I hope you can hear me very well.
Loud and clear.
Thank you very much. The owner of the boat. For now, we went there. We find the owner of the boat. We find the owner of the boat and the son that is using the boat to cross the people to the other side. The rest son. So, speaking to you, the 11-year-old boy is no more. He's not alive. He also died. So, the question that we asked the father, is he the one who allowed them to cross? He said he is also at the funeral ground. They are all going to the funeral. So the father is already there with the family members at the funeral ground at Abu Game before they are coming from Okuma to that place. So when their parents are not there, that's where they also join the boat crossing to the other side. That is the investigation that we have.
And it's quite shocking. Have you retrieved all the bodies of the deceased?
Yes.
And currently, you're in the community, just gauging the impact. Based on your preliminary assessment, how is the situation on the ground as we speak?
Well, it's not easy, but right now I'm from the community on my way to Dambai, and I'll be going back to the community. It's a very serious situation because a household, 7 people died out of this issue. So the family, they are in a difficult time now. So we send a team to go and handle the situation. For now, the minister have sent a delegation. We are counselors on ground talking to them and psychologists. A few of them are on the ground speaking to them.
To offer psychological support to the victims' family members, is that the case?
Yes.
But then a bigger concern is that we don't want this to reoccur. And so what is NADMO doing, especially along the riverbank, to ensure that there are safety standards being adhered to by individuals who use these boats?
NADMO cannot work alone. We work with other organizations, agencies, and NGOs. So for now, we are putting things in order. It's not we are putting things in order for the commercial boats. We are going to put strict measures, and the private ones too. We are going to make sure that if they want to carry passengers, it should have a number. And this particular incident, even the community members are not, they are in the funeral, So this one is the kids and the elderly one, the 3 adults that are part of the incident, I can say that they influence these young people to this issue. Like the boat is not a big one that can carry the number of people who join the boat. So from now we will do education with other organizations and make sure we totally mitigate this in the region.
Well, it's also a good time to bring in the OT Regional Minister, John Kojo Japon. Thank you so much for your time here on The Pulse. I'm just getting information from the NADMO official we spoke to just now that you have sent a delegation to the family members. What are they expected to do? You may have to unmute, sir, for us to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear now.
You are speaking to my minister or me?
No, I'm speaking to the OT Regional Minister. Just stay with me, Foster. I'll come back to you as we wrap up the conversation. But right now, I'm speaking to the OT Regional Minister, John Kojo Japon. Thank you so much for your time. I'm hoping he can hear me. And if he can, I was just finding out what exactly this delegation is seeking to achieve. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much. And let me greet your listeners. The issue is that we have to send people to go and talk to the family members, the bereaved family members, of which 7 of them come from one house, and that 7 lost their life from one house, and the rest from other members of the place. Her Excellency, the Vice President of Ghana, Republic of Ghana, will want to visit the bereaved family tomorrow at the site, and we are preparing to, meet her tomorrow and maybe send her to the bereaved family in Okuma, where the incident happened. The issue that I want to get clear here is that I want everybody to understand that the intervention of the Akosombo Dam that brought a blockage of the Volta River had extended a lot of water to other parts of the land. So for the Volta Lake now, we have a lot of islands on the Volta Lake. And that is where, these things normally happen. It is not like, they are traveling from Dambai or Krachi or whatever. It is from an island to an island. This particular one happened when a family that has an extended family in another island was going for a funeral, and this thing happened, So the problem is about how to educate, these young ones and the family members who are on the island to go by the rules of the maritime laws. You see, anytime there is education, either by the municipal assembly, either by the MPs,
Mr. Kojo, we seem to have lost you. We'll try to reconnect the lines just to get a clear connection to you.
I'm lost on board.
I get a sense he's back now.
Yeah.
Great. So, based on what you're...
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Please make your point. You were just finalizing your point. Before we lost you briefly.
There are a lot of islands on, the Volta Lake. So, the monitoring by Maritime Authority, by Navy, who just stay at Dambai or Krachi, is just inadequate.
I'm glad you make the point that the monitoring of the Maritime Authority is simply inadequate. And that's really the big question. The fact that it is inadequate, and so some of these issues go unattended to. One of the key concerns being raised is that this boat in question was overloaded. As a regional minister, I'm sure you're concerned about this because the likelihood that this may reoccur exists.
Yes.
And so how are you dealing with this problem?
It is a very difficult problem, to be frank with you. because the people are on the islands. It's not like they are at one place where you can, monitor or even, educate them. Meanwhile, we do educate them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The NADMO crew is there. They do a lot of education. The Navy is also there. They go around to do a lot of education. The Maritime Authority is also there. They do all the education. They advise them how to use the boat, the number of people that will be on the boat. But when you live there, they are left on their own, on the islands. They do anything that you may not have the opportunity to even advise. And that creates the problem. That creates the problem. The number of people that have to be on the Volta Lake to get things to work properly is not what we have. It's not what we have. And I think that we need more hands. We need more the Maritime Authority members. We need more Navy. We need more NADMO people employed to take care of these islands. There are about 120 islands on the Volta Lake in the OT region alone, and that is huge. And it's very, very difficult to handle this situation. No matter how we try to enforce the laws, no matter how the number life jackets that we give, they don't want to use it. It is not like we haven't given them life jackets. There have been a lot of life jackets. NADMO brought a lot of life jackets.
We seem to have lost connection to Mr. John briefly, but it's imperative that he makes that point, because that was where I was heading to, really, how to deal with this problem from source.
Okay.
Mr. John, since you recognize that community members are failing to use the life jackets, how are you ensuring enforcement and, of course, sensitization?
Yeah, what we are going to do is that anybody who wants to stay on the island should make it a point to have life jackets on their island, so that whenever they are going to travel, they should put the life jackets on. And that one, we are going to enforce it. If you come around and you don't have life jackets, and we know that you are from the island or whatever, and you come to where the enforcing agents are, who have to take you on, so that at least we have to start enforcing the rules regularly. It is very, very important, because otherwise this would not stop. Because, like I said, there are a lot of islands on the Volta Lake, where some of them even stay and never come to town the whole year. They stay there and do their livelihood. They fish, they farm, they do everything there, send people to come and sell their produce for them. And so it is difficult to enforce any laws, in people who are not around, which you may not be seeing anytime.
But if you have spotted the problem that indeed these individuals are in the islands, which you make mention there are about 120 of them, why not work with the Maritime Authority to deploy men to these islands?
Unfortunately, the number of people, maritime workers are few. They are very, very few. They come and they are at Dambai. You may get them at Krachi. They are few. And they have, let's say, a few boats themselves. The Navy has a rescue boat at Dambai. They may have it at Krachi too. But this is not enough. This is not enough at all. Depending on the number of islands that we have on the Volta Lake, the number of people that we deploy to come and do these services are woefully inadequate. Woefully inadequate at all.
So how will you fix this problem?
Yeah, we want to fix it. We are going to get all the municipal assemblies that have these islands on them, educate them, and do bylaws that anybody who have to stay on the island should have a life jacket. You should have.
And whose responsibility is it to provide them with a life jacket? Just clarify for me.
It is the responsibility of NADMO, the responsibility of the district assemblies or the municipal assemblies. It is also the responsibility of our honorable members of parliament who are responsible for all this one. The assemblies, the municipal assemblies, the NADMO crew, the Maritime Authority, the Naval crew, and all those things. It is their responsibility to get all these things. And I think that they have it, yet when you give it to them, they don't want to use it. They don't want to use it. I don't know. Maybe some of them think it's too heavy on their body or whatever it is. They never use it. And that creates the problem for us.
Let me bring in the OT Regional Director of NADMO, Kobna Foster, just to respond to this concern. Stay with me. I'll come back to you, Mr. John Kojo Japon. Let me bring in the OT Regional NADMO Director, Kobna Foster, just to respond to the concern you're raising. The bigger concern is that these individuals living around the islands, they need life jackets. Has NADMO provided them with life jackets? Mr. Foster, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly. Mr. Foster, yes, I can hear you now. Have you provided these individuals living especially around the islands with some of these life jackets that are quite crucial for their daily activities? I can see Foster is trying to make a point, but unfortunately, we can't hear him. So he will have to unmute. Let me bring in another key individual in this conversation, the Vice Chairperson of the Transport Committee in Parliament, Andrew Dari Chiwite. Thank you so much for your time here on the Pulse. Whilst we work the lines to get clearer connection to Foster, I'm sure this issue has come to your attention, hasn't it? What's your initial reaction?
Exactly so, Madam. Good afternoon to you and your viewers. It has come to my notice. I got to know about it yesterday evening when I saw the news item, and then it's been trending since today. You see, this happens not to be the first time that we are recording such accidents. And so it's not strange. And following the discussion by the regional minister, it tells us that since 2016 up to date, we've lost about 61 lives around that area. So this tells us that it's something that is serious, and we must set up as a country to see how we can't stop it completely, but we should work at minimizing it. And as a committee, because we are on recess, if not, this should have been something that we should immediately also come together to visit the area and even see things for ourselves, and probably start a very serious education. Listening to the regional minister, the NADMO director, and then the district director as well, we really need to do a lot of education. I'm informed that they even do not like using the life jackets. Probably they don't know the importance of that. You see, we those who travel by air, whether you like it or not, you must wear your seatbelt. We should also know that this is a transport. They are transporting people. Even that one is just as dangerous as also being sitting in an aircraft without wearing your belt. So we should do a lot of education, no matter the weight of the life jacket. That is why we call it a life jacket. It saves life. So as assemblies, as members of parliament, as stakeholders of the land, we would have to ensure that people follow the laws. The minister indicated that who was managing the canoe and operating the canoe happened to be an 11-year-old child. This is not acceptable. We don't have to encourage this. You see, people underage cannot drive. So people who are also underage should not be permitted to paddle the canoe.
And it's quite concerning for the Maritime Authority. I can hear you loud and clear. The Maritime Authority raised concerns that they lack the legal backing to enforce some of the safety regulations, especially in the islands. And they're looking up to Parliament to ensure that is rectified. Can they trust that this Parliament will see to it that they have legal backing to deal with this issue head on?
sure, sometimes Parliament is not aware of what is happening. And so now that it's happening this way, if Maritime Authority thinks that they need a legal backing, they should quickly come with that. And as a committee, we are ready to sit with them and then see how we push this through. Because the duty of Parliament is to enact laws. And so they are the people with the know-how. They advise Parliament on some of these issues. And so if they think that there's a need for us to back them with some law so that that can strengthen them to operate as an authority, we are ever ready to do that because we need to save lives. You see, recently, that was somewhere June, 14th of June or so, an incident happened in Laura. I don't know whether you remember that story of the Laura students who were trying to cross to the other side, and of them lost their lives.
Do I still have Mr. Dara with me? Oh dear, I'm told his connection is giving us challenges. We'll try and work it out and come back to him. Do I still have Foster with me?
Yes, madam. I'm with you.
Good. Now, I wanted you to respond to the OT regional minister. He says that individuals living in these islands and community, they ought to be provided life jackets. Has NADMO distributed life jackets to these individuals in this community? If yes, what number have you distributed so far?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Foster.
All right. They have been distributing it They distributed it before I resumed office. I just took over office on April. But I'm sure some community, and I do my own investigation, some of the community have a life jacket. But it will not be adequate. It is not up to the number that may come.
The reason why I wanted you to help me with numbers, do you know just how much has been distributed, at least in the handing over note you received when you took over? Is it stated there?
Actually, no. No, but if you go to other community, you will see them with life jacket. If you are crossing in like Dambai to the other side, there is life jackets in the boat, but the people refuse to put it on. Sometimes you will not even understand. They will tell you it's heavy. Sometimes they will tell you it's smelling. Sometimes they will have their own story to tell you. So it's not that there is no life jacket in some of the community. They have.
So it's an enforcement problem. Stay with me, Foster. Let me bring in a security analyst as we look at the concerns being raised by key individuals. It's a good time to bring in now public safety advocate Nanaya Alquada. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. We've just been hearing from key stakeholders, and the problem really, they tell us, has to do with the individuals living in these communities. They're failing to adhere to safety regulations. How do you propose we can deal with that moving forward so that disasters like this will not reoccur?
Thank you, and good day to your viewers. Let me also commiserate with the families of the bereaved. I think that listening to your interview makes me cringe because you are doing a great job, but the responses that we are getting from, the authorities, the duty bearers, leaves much to be desired. It is evident now that as a country, we lack a comprehensive, regulatory regime for, water transport as far as passenger transport is concerned. This issue is not new, and I think that you have, beautifully dealt with it with all the people you have called. And I'm glad how you pressed the minister. I'm glad how you pressed the DC. And I'm glad how you are pressing the NADMO official that this is not a new phenomenon. And so how come that in the wake of another, loss of lives, 15 loss of lives, is going to disrupt a lot of government activities? You were told that tomorrow the vice president is leaving Accra to travel just to go and say, we commiserate with you. a lot of businesses will have to wait back in Accra. As we speak now, we are going to dole out the taxpayers' money to buy, stuff, provisions for families of the dead. As we speak now, as a country, we have not been able to protect the vulnerable in society. We are looking at an 11-year-old that has passed on as a result of someone's negligence. So where is our system of accountability? We are lacking that proper system of accountability so that when such things happen, all we get from authorities is just rhetoric, because nobody gets, held accountable for anything. Why should we, Ghanaians, be told today that we have people living on islands and we don't know how to institute a proper system of surveillance on how those people commute back and forth their places of residence? Why should we today be talking about a licensing regime for water transportation? Why should we not have in place a system where we are able to know who is manning what boat? What sense are we making out of the whole decentralization agenda? We've lost it. That's what it means. We've lost it. And I would expect journalists to bombard Her Excellency, the Vice President, if she steps foot in that area, to bombard her with questions and let her see how exposed we are, how as a country we have neglected our own, that from time to time people have to die and all we do is rhetoric. Recently, the last boat disaster we had, the Minister of Transport indicated to us that she was going to put in place a system where people who are, moving people across water bodies were going to be trained. They were going to be licensed. Lifeboats were going to be provided. It's been less than 3 months. What has happened to that plan? How far have they gone with it? So that today we have a minister of a region. In other words, the representative of the president, coming to tell us that, well, we don't know how to do it. It's a problem, and that is the problem. For God's sake, that is not why these people are getting paid with our taxpayers' money. So we must hold them accountable. We must hold their feet to the fire of accountability. And then the response from the Committee of Transport in Parliament, I find his response also quite political. It lacks substance for me, that if they know there is a problem, they should bring the amendments they want, the changes they want to Parliament so that they can pass the laws, because they are there to pass laws. They are there as representatives of the people. Right in his eyes, he has seen 15 people dying. Okay? And this is not the first news for this year. He should be able to tell us something to assuage our pain. He can sponsor a bill. That department can sponsor a bill to make sure that we sanitize and heavily regulate those spaces so that we can save lives. I think that we as a country have not yet come to terms with how much we lose with some of these disasters. Otherwise, we won't sit down for them to be happening, for people to be telling us stories. Okay? People have traveled far and wide from the world. They are coming to transact business with the presidency. And then only for you to check into a hotel paying $300, $400 a night. And you cannot see the vice president tomorrow because people are dead somewhere as a result of someone's negligence. You have to go and incur the cost, for a couple more nights in order to be able to access the presidency. This is not acceptable.
Let me come in at this point in time. We just heard from the Ghana Maritime Authority tell us that they need legal backing to enforce some of the safety regulations. From where you stand, how should they go about it moving forward?
Well, I think that is what we have said. The Maritime Authority have sat down for all these years, boat disaster after boat disaster, only for them to be telling us today that they need legal authority to be able to enforce. So what do they want to enforce that there is no law for them? I doubt that the Ghana Maritime Authority has no authority to ensure that water travel in our country is safe. If they have that mandate to ensure that it is safe, right there is what they have. Why do we have to come back to Parliament and make laws to say that you need a life jacket before you access a water transport vehicle? We don't need laws for that. So if they think they want to make the law more clearer and they want bylaws or regulations, they should draft those regulations and send it to Parliament. But as it stands now, they have every mandate to ensure that people who are traveling by water are safe. What is the Ministry of Transport doing? Since 2017, the Bureau of Public Safety, our reports on public safety and crime, we've detailed these things out. That, look, we must make sure that air transport, water transport are also taken care of. But they've all fallen on deaf ears. And then when we are being pressed by the fourth estate of the realm, then we go about, ranting or giving rhetorics. I think that it is time for us to start holding people accountable in their spaces.
And in this case, who should be held accountable for this disaster?
I would first of all want to go for the head of the Minister of Transport. The Minister of Transport should be answering why he or she has been in office for, I think it's a she, has been in office for all these months.
The deputy is a she. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was the deputy that I heard speak the other day, why they've been in office for all these months and we have not seen anything about, transport safety on our waters. If they have something on our waters, they should let us see it. So I think that we need to hold people accountable. Then the Minister of Transport is going to descend on the Maritime Authority. The Maritime Authority is going to work with the District Chief Executives. The District Chief Executive is going to work with his community representatives, including NADMO, to ensure that every space is taken care of. Why? As a country, we go to every space. If I show you the corner where the Bureau of Public Safety office is and how the IRS was able to locate us, it will marvel you. So we go to every corner where we need to tap revenue, and then we say that we sit down and pretend that we cannot access some areas in order to ensure safety, to save lives of people.
And that's a concern being raised by the OT regional minister, really. It says some of these areas that we're referring to are the islands, and it's quite difficult to reach that area. You disagree?
Well, look, I am a son of OT, and I think that the regional minister did not do much research. He just came to respond because, that he has to speak to the media. If you listen to him, the inconsistencies, at some point I had to switch off my video. The inconsistencies, it was just funny. So I think that the regional minister should put his research together, should put all should be led by the transport ministry to sanitize the space. He seems to have a good knowledge of all the problems, but the solution. But somebody must tell the honorable minister that he's not just there to tell us the problems. We know the problems already. As far back as 2017, we know all of these problems and challenges. What he is appointed there to do is to solve those problems. So coming here when 15 homes are bereaved, I'm told as many as 7 people from one household are bereaved, to come and be telling us that the problem is accessibility. The problem is they live on islands. The problem is, that's not why the president put him there as his representative. If the president wanted to narrate problems back to Ghana, we wouldn't need a regional minister. He's just there to solve those problems. So he should be telling us the solutions that he has on the ground. He should be telling us which institutions, which government agencies he's working with. He should be telling us which unions or groups of fisher folk or boat owners that he's working with to resolve the problem, and not telling us the problem. We know the problems already. He has the mandate, he has the resources, he should deal with the problems. That is what we want as a people, and not someone who come back here to be narrating problems to us. Respectfully, Honorable Minister, I'm from Tapa, Amanya. So I'm really coming from your region. That's why my name is Nanaya Amenyampo. That's my name. So please roll your sleeves up and get to work.
Let me bring in the OT Regional Minister, John Kojo Japon, to respond to some of the concerns being raised. Thank you. I'm still glad I have you here on the show. The bigger concern really is that you've painted a picture for us, a picture of the problem. Now the solutions. How are you going to fix this? I see he's attempting to speak. You may have to unmute for us to hear you clearly, sir. So we're just reconnecting the lines with the OT Regional Minister, John Kojo Japon, just to get his brief response. I still have with me on the line as well the OT Regional Director of NADMO, Kobna Foster. But then I also have Dari Chiwite, he's chairperson of the Transport Committee of Parliament. And so whilst we work the line to reconnect to the OT Regional Minister, who I was just posing the question to him about the solutions moving forward, let me head now to Parliament. The committee in charge of this, you head that committee. And so looking at the different cases we've heard of, up till now, what concrete steps will you take when Parliament reconvenes to ensure that our water bodies are safe again for transportation of both goods, services, and even individuals?
Thank you so much. I'm the vice chair, not the chairman of the committee. I vice chair the committee. But you see, these are disasters. They are things that sometimes it's very difficult to control. That is why we encourage people to protect themselves. And so, you see, they have indicated clearly that some of the areas, even with the life jackets provided, but people are not willing to use the life jackets. So what is important is for us to ensure that before a boat moves, all the passengers must wear life jackets. That will be the first step. Places that they do not have life jackets, the NADMO director will have to take some assessment. He should do a very comprehensive assessment for us to know areas that we need to supply the life jackets immediately, so that we work on that as the immediate solution to that. Then when they are provided, the enforcement must be applied. Like I said,
and how would you propose that we enforce the safety regulations?
That is why we have district assemblies. Okay. We have assembly members. We have unit committee members. All these people must be called and be educated. We have to create the awareness in the first place. Let people see the importance of wearing the life jackets. Otherwise, people think that I can swim, and so I don't even need it. But let them know that even if you can swim, you still have to wear the life jacket. If you don't wear it, you can get to the middle of the lake, and it's difficult for you to swim ashore. And so we have to let them see the importance of wearing the life jacket. Then we have to ensure that we make the life jackets available at every point, every crossing point. We must have life jackets available. And then we enforce. Then the Maritime Authority, if, like I said, if they are handicapped and they need some legal backup, that is why we are there. We are available to assist in that area. But for me, I don't think we should continue to be blaming. Look, we blame the politician. The politician can provide, but whether the person that is supposed to use it will use it. Like the NADMO director said, imagine an 11-year-old boy managing a full boat with 15 passengers. The politician will not be there to ensure that this is done. But
so you cannot be blamed as a politician. Point noted. But then, moving forward, as a member of parliament, you can independently sponsor a bill to see to it that safety regulations, especially in the islands that the OT regional minister made mention of, is adhered to. Is that something we should look forward to doing when Parliament reconvenes?
That is perfect. Sure. It's something we, as a committee, like I said, it's just because we are on recess. If not, we are quickly mobilized to also go and see things for ourselves. But now that we have all these challenges, we would have to work on it quickly. Because when the Laura incident happened, I did a contribution and I raised issues with all these safety issues. So I think that it is time for us to quickly see how we can work on some of these things so that we can stop them. They are preventable. They are things that we don't have to allow continue to happen.
So, Mr. Dari, just to clarify for me, you will be leading that charge when Parliament reconvenes?
Let me promise you, I will lead it. I'm just going to note it down because I want that Mr. Adakwa is Mr. Adakwa, right?
Yeah, Naya Akwada.
Akwada, yes, Mr. Akwada. We would as a Parliament, as a people representative, I'm assuring you that when Parliament resumes, I'm going to make a move on this. One funny thing about parliamentary committees is that you don't serve on the committee for all your years in Parliament. I was on the Western Housing Committee. Now I used to the Transport Committee. And so that is the way we work in Parliament. So we don't have permanent members so that you say that, oh, you have been here for many years and we've not done ABC. And so as a
respond to our brother who is from OT region, the blame that is blaming us, I want to plead with him that we want to solve a problem, not to blame anybody about this. OT region, there is 5 constituencies are surrounded by water. Biakuye, Krachi East, Krachi West, Krachi Chumbru, Nkonta North, Nkonta South. You just look at the constituencies that are mentioned and the communities. The communities are more than 100. The communities are more than 100. Where is coming from? The Amanya. It is so water, a river there, so you don't know. Some people are staying in some cottage, only a household are staying in a village. You don't know that people are staying there. So sometimes if issue happen like this, we should see the measures that we put in place to solve it. Not a blame that is. Thank you very much. Madam, as I said, like, we have about 5 constituencies surrounded by water. So about 120 communities are on the water body. So right now, if you want to get life jacket for all these people in their villages and their cottages and towns, we will not expect less than 3,000 life jackets. We will not expect less than 3,000 life jackets.
Do you have the capacity to provide that?
You know, I don't work on myself. I don't work on. It's not. Not it's not. I will talk to the authority. I will talk to my boss at the headquarters.
Whilst you speak to your boss to just get the numbers, from where you sit as the OT Regional Director of NADMO, do you have that much life jackets in your custody that you can even distribute to community members?
No.
Okay.
No.
Can you tell me the exact number you have as we speak?
As it stands now, the one the officers are using for operational works, the ones that we have right now, is what we are using. So we don't have a life jacket in our store for distribution.
Okay. And I presume that you'll be doing an assessment of the life jackets that have been distributed in the past, just to get a rough figure, really, of the number of life jackets that NADMO has distributed to the community. Should we expect that in coming days?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. That is the OT Regional NADMO Director, Dre Kobna Foster. Thank you so much for your time. Earlier, I spoke to the Vice Chairperson of the Transport Committee in Parliament, Andrew Dari Chiwite, just giving us updates as to what they plan to do. I've also been speaking to public safety expert Nanaya Akwada, and then earlier during the conversation was the OT Regional Minister, which was still trying to reconnect our lines to speak to him to just respond to some of the key concerns being raised by Nanaya Akwada. Whilst we wait for clear connection to the OT Regional Minister, we're taking this quick turn. We'll be back with more. Please stay with us here on The Pulse. So stay with us here on The Pulse. Now let's shift our attention now to the health sector. The Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HEFRA, has shut down a clinic operated by Guinness Ghana Limited in Kumasi for operating without a valid license for the past 6 years. The enforcement forms part of a nationwide compliance exercise by HEFRA aimed at clamping down on unlicensed health facilities. According to agency officials, the Guinness Ghana clinic, located within the company's premises at Ahinsan, had failed to renew its operational license since 2019 in clear violation of Part 1, Section 11 of the Health Institutions and Facilities Act 2011, which requires all health facilities to obtain and maintain valid licenses before offering medical services. Let's take you live to the Ashanti region. My colleague Nana Boachi Yadum is on standby. Nana, you've been with the team all morning. So far, where have they visited?
The operation led by the task force of HEFRA has led us to. This is a health facility that the task force has made its way into at the moment here at Ejuso. The operation has taken us through several health facilities, including eye clinics and other important health centers in the Ashanti region. We have the indication from the HEFRA PRO that over 200 health facilities risk closure for some not renewal of their licenses and some without licenses at all. And this facility is where we are currently a victim of the operation that is currently ongoing. The very big fish at the moment is Guinness Ghana Kumasi, where we had their clinic operating at the premises of the company got closed down for not renewing their license for over 6 years now. And the task force made their way into the premises of Guinness Ghana and also closed down their clinic. Currently, where we are looks like a building belonging to people who probably stay in here, but it has been turned into a health facility. That is why HEFRA has made its way in here. We will do our very best to speak to the authorities who've come in to do the inspection, but this is how the compound looks like. A complete home. The building looks like where people would have to, they reside actually, doesn't really look like a health facility. And these are all parts of the checks that are being done. We visited some maternity buildings and they did their clearance and checks over there where they saw that most of the operations that goes on over such places do not look healthy and clean, and that is why they've refused or do not meet the standards of HEFRA. That is why they've refused, some of them refused to renew their licenses and even go in for their licenses after all. And so this is how this health facility looks like. Because it doesn't really look like, or because it doesn't meet the standards of HEFRA, you can see that they've refused to go in for their licenses. This is their OPD, and the OPD, before we even enter, looks very, very dark. But this should be the first port of call where they take your particulars, and you can see that there are books or details belonging to patients that are being packed over here. And this place does not even look like a health facility, but they've been operating under the cover of being a health facility and admitting patients. Let's get inside properly to see what is actually happening, because the task force have come in. We have to clarify whether there are patients in here and if they are still working. So we're being told that there's one patient in here, and that is going to go really against the rules of the game, because you have to have your licenses. You don't have your licenses, that means you do not meet the standards of being a health facility. You are operating illegally. That goes against Part 1, Section 11 of the Act that mandates HEFRA to issue licenses to health facilities. And that is what has brought about all of this operation currently ongoing here in the Ashanti region. There's one patient who is receiving treatment over here, and the patient who is receiving treatment, okay, will be referred. That is the indication that we have at the moment. But from your checks and what you've seen here, this place really looks, coming in, I realize that it doesn't really meet the standards.
So it tells you what we've all been saying, that it's not just, we are not just closing down facilities because they are not licensed. If they are not licensed, there's a reason why they are not licensed. It could be that they've not met the requirements. That is why we have not given them the license. You realize that when we go, most of them start saying, oh, I have paid, I have paid. We are not looking for people who have paid. We are looking for people who are operating within standards. So when we come to your facility and you don't have a license, there is a reason why you don't have the license. It's possible that inspectors from HEFRA have come around. So you hear some of them saying that, oh, they've come to inspect me already. It is true. But once they have inspected you and then they've not issued their license, then it means that something went wrong somewhere. And you can see it for yourself. There is no way we would license a facility like this. Maybe they've been giving recommendations and they've not met those recommendations. That is why they are not licensed. So what we are going to do now is we will lock them down.
You're going to lock this one because there's a patient here?
No, we will refer the patient. We've asked him to refer the patient to the nearest facility. He came here with, I think, malaria, so he's been asked to refer the patient. We cannot leave, if there is no signpost, nothing. Look at what is going on here.
And from the way this place looks like, is there any possibility that even if they come to get their licenses, you would consider letting them operate?
That would be beyond me, because we have people whose job it is to ensure that the facility actually meets standards. So when they come, they would ensure that everything that's supposed to be in place will be in place. I'm not sure HEFRA will come for inspection and they would have things like this over here. No. So when they come, they will tell them what to do. And that is their job. But for now, all I know is that they don't meet the standards, they don't have the license, and we would close them down.
Are you surprised with what you've seen in the Ashanti region?
We've been told, our inspectors tell us that when they go on the field, they see a lot of things that are a bit disheartening. So I wouldn't say I'm surprised, because inspectors go out there and they come back to tell us that what they see out there is a bit disheartening. And this is the reason why my boss is actually on his toes saying that we should close them down. Once they don't meet the standards, we close them down. We've come here, there's a patient who has actually been, is on admission, and then there's no doctor. The nurse is telling us that he called the doctor on phone. No way. HEFRA says if you are licensed as a clinic, at every point in time, there should be a doctor at post. So how come there is no doctor? And they had to call the doctor on phone. And even the doctor who came with us is saying that even the recommendations that they gave wasn't the appropriate thing for them to do. So you can imagine the kind of exposure some patients are being exposed to, or the risks they are being exposed to. So please, when you go to any facility, ensure, in fact, insist on the HEFRA license before you subject your health to them.
Thank you very much. And that is the PRO for HEFRA, Christabel Ayram, telling us all that has been happening here so far. And this patient you see here would be sent to, will be referred to the nearest hospital to seek treatment. We're being told that he came in with malaria. Sadly, there is no doctor at post to attend to him. The nurses say they had to call the doctor and then take details from him, which goes against the HEFRA policies. This has become very, very sad situation, bad one here. And this seems to be the pharmacy. And in a pharmacy that looks very, very empty. I can't seem to see anything. Okay, there are some few books over here and some few drugs. It tells you that the issue with this particular facility goes beyond license. It is actually they not meeting the standards that are required by HEFRA, and that is why they have refused to go and seek their license. This is, you can see some few drips, some few drugs over here, which tells you clearly that everything happening in this facility goes beyond license, but an actual case of not meeting the standards that require you to be registered as a facility under HEFRA, and that is why they've refused to go in for their licenses. And so this is basically what is happening. Some of the places that we visited in the Ashanti region, same situation. Others would have to do just some few things by making sure that they register and get their license, unlike these places that we've been to. with this facility you see here, there's been a similar one. It was a maternity ward that had the similar issue. Also shuts down, closed down. This one would be closed down from the indication that we have from HEFRA. And so firstly, this is what has been happening. A compound that has been turned into a health facility, admitting patients. One, we came to meet here, who for the emergency situation that has happened right now would have to be referred to the nearest hospital. Over to you.
Much, Nana Wachi Adam, for just providing us that update. Well, here in the Greater Accra region, the Traditional Medicine Practicing Council has launched a major enforcement exercise in the Greater Accra region. This follows an investigation by the council which revealed that 17 health facilities in the Greater Accra region have been found operating without authorization. The crackdown targets massage centers, gymnasium, chiropractic facilities, traditional healing centers, and other outfits accused of flouting regulatory approval processes. Officials say this move is part of a broader nationwide effort to ensure that all facilities meet the required operational and safety standards. Dr. Yakubu is registrar of the council.
So if we as a council do not act, a lot of these quacks provide services that could endanger the lives of the public. 80% of Ghanaians rely on traditional medicine for their primary health care. This makes their services very essential, and then there is a need to protect the public and ensure that the people who know what they are doing are the ones in this space. So quacks are essentially people who do not have the qualification, but yet they're in the same space. If you are not a quack, the point is to do what you're supposed to do, which is to register with Traditional Medicine Practice Council, go through our trainings and get licensed to practice. And we have oversight responsibility over your practice as well as your premises. Because beyond having a license, we need to be sure that your products are supposed to or meet standard. Because the truth is, we're supposed to do random sampling. We can come into your facility, our inspectors can take your product and do random sampling so they meet the necessary standards. All of this we'll be doing around this time. And if your facility is not registered, for most of the facility we are going to, we've already written to them, we've spoken to them, we've invited them, some are just recalcitrant.
My colleague Stephen Mensah is currently with the enforcement team monitoring the shutdowns. He joins us live with more. So far, what areas have they visited and what's the update to the number they told us earlier?
The task force started their activity or the clampdown in the Delta municipality. So far, they have visited about 4 institutions or health facilities here, 3 of them being traditional herbal medicine facilities and 1 spa. Besides a number of infractions these health facilities have made prompting their closure, one would be that they are operating without a license, and this has been going on for quite some time. One of the facilities they visited, they indicate that they've been operating for close to a year without a license. The spa they visited also they indicate from the spa also that they've been trying to reach the owner for quite some time, and he has been proven unavailable. He has proven unavailable over the number of times they've tried to reach out to him to provide a license, prompting them to close down their facility.
What are they doing right now as we speak? Have they visited? Oh dear, we seem to have lost Stephen Mensah, who is on the ground for us. Well, still on the health front, we know that the health minister, Kwabena Mintai Kando, has announced that government will clear all the areas of the nurses. If you recall, last week they picketed his ministry demanding clearance for all the areas that they had, and he today held a news conference assuring that just by November that will be tackled as well. But away from the health front, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, has issued a powerful declaration of war on illegal mining known as Galamsey, revealing that the government is drafting a landmark legislation to completely outlaw mining in Ghana's water bodies and forest reserves. Speaking to the Ghanaian community in Belgium during the Global Gateway Forum, Professor Opoku-Agyeman noted that illegal mining has become a national catastrophe, eroding the very foundational gains that we have made as a country. She explained that the new law will eliminate existing loopholes that allow mining in protected areas.
Working towards banning mining in water bodies. We've been mining gold forever. How come all of a sudden all our waters were polluted? The water sources are normally in our reserve portions. And that's the reason why those areas are reserved forests. Now, when you give that to some who can even will it to his family, you all know what I'm talking about. So it becomes a family property. How do you stop that water, that source, from polluting the many rivers, from the source to many areas? A bill is being prepared to reverse what we saw and to ensure that the people are moved out of these areas and properly placed.
Well, let's get the reaction of Alwola Sewa. She's Director of Eco-Conscious Citizens, Ghana. She joins us live on the pulse via phone lines. This is one of the things you've been pushing for, aside a state of emergency. I'm sure you're pleased.
That I keep on hearing, for example, banning mining on water bodies. Mining on water bodies has always been a criminal offense, so it's not a question of banning it. It's a question of enforcing the law that that stops you from mining on water bodies. So what we need to do is enforce existing laws. That has been our problem. But to come back to the question that you asked, we face an existential threat. We're on the verge of a catastrophe. We currently have sufficient laws. We have the Minerals Act. We have the sufficient laws. We have already charged Chairman Wontumi. We couldn't have charged him if the existing laws were not there. So what we need to do right now is to arrest all those we know who are engaged in illegal mining, whether in our forest reserves or our water bodies. We don't need to wait for any new legislation to do that. And that needs to be done as a matter of extreme urgency. All those named in Professor Frimpong Boateng's report need to be investigated and charged. And then we need to say that all those found guilty, their property should be sold and used towards the cost of reclamation. And of course, we're expecting the repeal of LI 2462.
You raise concerns that this is an enforcement problem, really, but they need legal backing to enforce some of these laws, don't they?
The legal backing is already there. If the legal backing wasn't there, how would we have arrested and charged Chairman Wontumi? The laws are there. What has been happening is that we have not been enforcing the laws. The Minerals Commission has a monitoring team. Why did it take them so long to act after reports were made? Erastus Asare-Donkor has made a number of documentaries. There was a documentary regarding the destruction of the Tano Nimiri Forest Reserve. I remember that Engineer Ken Ashibe and Martin Pepu made a complaint against Akonta Mining a number of years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Why was nothing done? I think the docket got missing. So under the Minerals and Mining Act, the offenses were being committed. So the law has been there. The problem has been, we also have the Forest Protection Act. We have the Criminal Offences Act. The laws are there. The problem in Ghana is enforcement. We're always looking for another law to do the work that we're supposed to do. It's not the absence of laws. It's our inability or unwillingness to enforce existing laws. That is our problem.
Thank you so much, Alwola Sewa. She's Coordinator, Eco-Conscious Citizens. Well, still on illegal mining, there is some relief for residents of the central region as the Kwayaku treatment plant has been partially reopened after several months of closure. The plant was shut down on the orders of the Central Regional Minister, Ekopein Otri, following reports from the Ghana Water Limited that intake pumps at the headworks had broken down due to heavy siltation from illegal mining activities. Well, the minister has been outlining the measures being implemented to restore the Kwayaku treatment plant to full operation.
brought in some interim measures to ensure that we work towards getting, proper water. And so after the shutdown, we were managing various water bodies that we didn't have before. But then the next week was all still at the where
if you can just reposition yourself so we can hear you clearly.
Hello?
Yes, quite clear in your hello. Please proceed.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was saying that after we had seen the information process in order to find a makeup solution to the problem, we had to stay with the of the people. What as a was clearly those who are both medicine and affected. By God's grace, even though we question they are selling protect activity, what is routine method, we have to go ahead, put bread from the water, and that the able, get quality of the which would then be paid to provide. And so 2 weeks ago,
apologize for that poor sound quality, but you've just been hearing from the Central Regional Minister. Just tell us some of the key things you're doing to help revamp that crisis they're facing in the region when it has to do with the supply of water. But then let's shift our attention now to the health sector. I told you that the Health Minister, Kwamnaminta Kando, has announced that government will clear all outstanding salary arrears owed the nurses and midwives by November 2025. While speaking at a news conference amid growing agitations from nursing union across the country, the minister revealed that the Finance Ministry has received Cabinet's approval to release funds for the payment. We'll hear from him after this quick turn. Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, I told you that the Health Minister has announced that government will clear all the outstanding salary arrears owed to nurses and midwives by November 2025. Well, today he spoke at a news conference. Here's Fatal Bayaga with a report.
The minister noted that the ministry understands the challenges the affected nurses and midwives have been facing, having gone without salaries for about 10 months. He assured that Cabinet has approved for the Finance Minister to clear the arrears of some 6,500 nurses and midwives by November.
As I speak to you now, that about 6,500, that will add up to the 7,000 already being paid, making 13,500. That's allowance. That's over 6,000. Cabinet has approved that with immediate effect, starting from November, the Minister for Finance must pay them.
The minister also noted that the ministry has secured clearance and has commenced migrating hundreds of unpaid junior doctors onto the public payroll.
You recently had some junior doctors threatening to go on strike. They have started work without clearance, without salaries, without pay. Again, we collaborated with the Ministry of Finance, and as I speak to you now, we have succeeded in getting them clearance, and they are being migrated onto the payroll.
Stephen Kojo Tachia, convener of the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives Association, expressed excitement following the Health Minister's assurance to clear their 10-month salary arrears.
So yes, I would say we are excited with the response from the ministry, because we brought a petition, and in response to the petition, the minister has assured us they have had a go-ahead from Cabinet to start paying us in the coming month, that is in November. And with that, we say thank you to the minister and the ministry. We are really excited.
Can you keep this respect? When asked about his decision to grant the nurse clemency after the latter allegedly used inappropriate words against him, the minister said the step demonstrates acceptance of divergent views and should not encourage irresponsible behavior.
So I have absolutely nothing against anybody who demonstrates. But of course, as I stated earlier on, let us do that responsibly. And so I'll urge the Director General of the Ghana Health Service to temper justice with mercy. This is not to encourage anybody to act irresponsibly.
For JoyNews, Fatah Bayaga, Accra.
Now, just before we leave, President John Dramani Mahama is warning that unilateral tariffs are creating confusion and unpredictability in the world economy. Speaking during a bilateral meeting with Premier of the State of Council for China, he called for stronger alliances built on shared values, stressing that Ghana and China, together with all nations that uphold multilateral values, should draw even closer to the face of global uncertainty. Well, we'll hear from him shortly, but first he expressed confidence that Ghana will, in the very near future, have its very first female president.
Wish the global leaders a full success. Thank you.
The Global Leaders Meeting on Women, hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping and UN Women, has brought together world leaders on the 13th and 14th of October to renew the spirit of the 1995 Beijing Declaration and accelerate its implementation. This year's event holds special significance. It marks 80 years since the founding of the United Nations and 30 years since the 4th World Conference on Women held right in Beijing. Speaking at the opening ceremony, which had Chinese President Xi Jinping in attendance, President Mahama outlined key policies his government has introduced to promote gender equality and uplift women.
A policy that reserves 50% of microfinance and small-scale loans funding for women entrepreneurs. Nationwide distribution of sanitary pads for schoolgirls to address their menstrual health and also prevent absenteeism from school. Free tertiary education for persons with disability, especially women, and the no academic fee stress policy for first-year tertiary students. The Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund, which is soon to start, will also ensure equitable access to treatment for non-communicable diseases, especially amongst vulnerable groups.
Expressing optimism about Ghana's future, President Mahama said he's confident that the nation will in the very near future see its first female president.
My country, Ghana, remains steadfast in its pursuit of gender equality and the empowerment of our women. Under my leadership and in my capacity as the African Union champion for gender and women's empowerment, the government of Ghana has continued to take decisive steps to mainstream gender across our national development policies. We've achieved historic milestones, including the election of Ghana's first female vice president and the unprecedented appointment of women to leadership positions in government. The judiciary, the security services, and key national institutions. These are not just symbolic gestures. They are deliberate affirmation that women deserve a seat at the table of the highest levels of decision-making. And I am confident that in the very near future, our women will break the glass ceiling, and there will be a woman president of the Republic of Ghana.
He further urged African leaders to prioritize the welfare and empowerment of women, emphasizing that societies thrive when women are given equal opportunity.
And I wish to use this platform to call on my colleague African leaders to focus on the welfare and empowerment of African women. Mr. President, gender equality is not just a matter of justice. It is a driver of sustainable development. When women thrive, families prosper, communities are stronger, and nations progress.
Well, that report was filed by Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agbagba. And that's how we wrap up the Pulse. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Some top stories there. Police arrest 10 suspects for creating fake online food delivery platforms. You can go on myjoyonline.com to read that full story. It's one of our top stories there on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. I appreciate your company. Please have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.